Welcome to the Back on Track Achieving Healthy Weight Loss podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alicia Shelly. Now, did you know that 1 in 5 children are living with obesity and 14.7 million children and adolescents are living with obesity in the United States? Yeah. That's a lot of children. And on top of that, obesity is putting these children at risk for high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, breathing problems like asthma and sleep apnea, and even joint problems. And so today, I wanted to discuss how we can help our teens with living a more healthy life, a healthier life. I have our expert, Dr. Jenny Gagari, who is a pediatric endocrinologist with a dedicated focus on pediatric obesity. She's also a certified health coach and started the Lifestyle and Weight Loss for Teens podcast, hoping to educate as many families as possible with evidence-based information and topics related to healthy lifestyle and pediatric obesity. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Gagari. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. And it's a great honor to be part of your podcast so that I can hopefully educate more families and teenagers, because I know sometimes teenagers tend to get information from resources that may not be the best for them. So there's a lot of misinformation. So I'm glad to contribute to some helpful advice, hopefully.
Yes. And we appreciate that because you're absolutely right. You have all this different social media where people are putting out things that aren't necessarily correct. And some of our teens and even our adults are buying into it and sometimes getting, not necessarily hurt, but, definitely it's not healthy for them. So, but before we get started with all that, would you tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got into the pediatric obesity space?
Yes, absolutely. I will start. So I will say that when I was a teenager myself, I was also, overweight, and because I was really wanting to go into medical school, so that was my big dream, but comes with a lot of stress and exams and all those things. And, I had a lot of stress and, I didn't know much. I really think back now, I did everything, all the mistakes, I've done them. Like, I had a cousin who was telling me, oh, if you want to lose weight, you need to eat tomatoes. And then I was eating like this, sandwiches, like 4 or 5 sandwiches with tomato and feta cheese. And I was thinking that was like a healthy, or, I was eating, a lot of diet soda. And then I was thinking, oh, I had diet soda, now let me go and have my croissant and my ice cream. I couldn't exercise because I was like, I was really slow and I felt really bad exercising. Like at school, most kids love PE because they don't have to study. For me, it was the worst because I was really slow. It was a really bad performance in sports. And I hated it. And I thought, oh, that's me. I'm not an athletic type. I am the type who studies. So I didn't even try. I didn't even know that, that gets better, or you can start. You don't need to be like the fastest person. So I've dealt with a lot of problems as a teenager. And I think that's what really got me into, I was always fascinated by the hormones. And then I went to medical school. I did pediatrics and I did pediatric endocrinology. And as a pediatric endocrinologist, I had a lot of families come to me because their kids are overweight and now they think that maybe, it is the thyroid that is the problem, and then maybe they can take a pill for the thyroid and fix the problem. And some kids, it is the case. I'm not saying, there is a place for medications for thyroid. There is a place for medications, for, other kids may have PCOS or other kids may have, other things, but that doesn't explain all the problem. And I felt like I wanted to do something to help them more because, when I was telling them, we did all the workup, all the hormones, and I didn't find any of those known conditions, that we need to treat you in a certain medical way. I'm like, they were still left with nothing. They were still feeling that, now what do I do next? So I wanted to better help this kind of families, give them the tools to learn more what to do.
In your profession, in your opinion, how would you describe the pediatric obesity landscape? Do you feel like it's getting better, worse? What has been your experience?
I mean, overall, if you look at the data you just mentioned, 20% of kids now are overweight. If we look over the years, it gets worse year by year. And, now we do have medications available that we didn't have before. So maybe this trend may change, but even those medications are not for everyone. And once they are off the medication, there is like weight gain. So, that's a whole big other discussion. And, people and patients can talk with their doctor about, whether medication is an option for them. But I would say it's not an option for everyone. And also there's like 20%, the studies that they did with all this medication, I would say like roughly like 20% of people that they were on the placebo, meaning they were not taking the actual medication, they actually got the same results as with the adolescent and teenagers that were on the medication. So that's a big number, that. And I know we focus on the results of the medication, but I think we should also focus on, giving the opportunity to see what happens, because once you build those healthy habits, no one can take that away from you. Like, it's with you and you live with that for the rest of your life. It's not like you depend on the medication and then once you're out of, then you go back to what you used to be. So I'm hoping we can teach more about a lifestyle change that will be sustainable for years.
Yeah, we're going to definitely talk about lifestyle change. But before we move on, is there any particular medications that parents should be aware of that are approved for their daughter or son?
Yes, absolutely. So, the Wegovy that has been approved for adults has also been approved for teenagers, 13 to 18 years of age. Ozempic is, the indication for Ozempic is diabetes, basically the same drug, semaglutide. Liraglutide, and so Wegovy is a weekly medication. Liraglutide and Saxenda is another medication that is also GLP-1 agonist. That is a daily injection on a weekly one. So some people, it's not their favorite, but it has also been approved. And also there is approval for Kizdemia, phentermine-topiramate combination that has also been approved for teenagers. There's also phentermine monotherapy, but that has a maximum 3 months use, so we don't really use it that much. And I would say there are also clinical trials for now ongoing that have not been completed yet for tirzepatide that I think will come up sometime in the next few months, but they're currently ongoing.
Okay, excellent. Well, now how should a parent kind of approach their teenager who may be living with obesity? How can they kind of approach their child and to help them with wanting to live a more healthier life, especially when their friends may not be doing healthy things? Maybe, so how can a parent kind of approach their child?
Yeah, so and there can be different ways. I'll just tell you what my approach is. But I always talk to the teenagers first, because sometimes they can come because their parents want them to change, or their pediatrician or somebody else, but they themselves don't want to do anything about it. They feel fine. So I think starting with talking with a teenager and see their readiness for change, and making them understand why we're even talking about this. Why is this important? And sometimes it does take some time for people to get ready. Maybe you talk to them, but they're not ready now, but they think about it, then they can come back. So one thing is, having the willingness and the motivation, like eliciting the motivation of like what would be different, and thinking about that in their life. And maybe not necessarily from medical standpoint of view, which I know as adults that's what we focus on and that's what we want. We want to avoid the risk of diabetes, sleep disorder, breathing, fatty liver disease, depression, anxiety, hypertension, high pressure on the brain. There are a lot of medical issues that we want to avoid, but for teenagers, maybe those don't seem important, and they may be that I want to play better soccer, or I want to wear my favorite clothes. So I think those are equally important. Even for their teenagers are important, they are equally important, because that is what is going to help them. And then there are a lot of lifestyle changes that we can talk about. I don't know if you want to go into this.
Yeah, that's my next question. What are some strategies that the teenagers, once they buy in, should be doing to help them with losing weight?
Yes. So, there are several, pillars on the lifestyle medicine that, we want to address nutrition, we want to address activity, we want to address sleep, we want to address relationships, and we want to address emotion, stress and emotion regulation, I think are important. So there's, I don't know if you have heard the 5-2-1 rule, which basically says that, that's from the American Academy of Pediatrics, where, we encourage at least 5 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables every day for teenagers. We recommend that they get at least 1 hour of physical activity every day. We recommend that they don't get more than 2 hours of screen time every day. And 5-2-1-0 is this zero sugary drinks, like all these, sodas. And then we, addressing the sleep is also important. It's not for many different reasons. I can talk more a little bit about this, but having enough sleep, which for teenagers is 8 to 10 hours every night, can help them regulate their hormones during the night, because we normally cortisol, which is a fat storing hormone, is low when we're sleeping, but if you have irregular sleeps, then that can be higher. So it's like you have your hormones against you. It can affect the appetite regulation. So people that are sleep deprived tend to eat more and have harder time controlling their cravings. It can also affect the mood, because obviously if you are grumpy because you haven't slept very well, you have more tendency to really not make the healthiest choices, the next day. And your
coffee and Mountain Dew, all the things.
Yeah, exactly. And and also if if you're tired, because you haven't slept well, you're also less likely to go and exercise, because you don't want to, you just want to lay down, or you may want to take you have the need to take a nap in the afternoon, so you really miss also that opportunity to have this extra 2 hours that you can use to go out, play, have fun, connect, or even finish your homework on time, so you're not so stressed. So it's like a cycle. So I think it is very important to address that.
Well, thank you. So I think those are great strategies. Is there anything people should avoid or anything they should not do when they're trying to be more healthier?
What I don't really recommend is those diets, the strict, and again, that's my personal opinion and based on my experience, because I think they are short-lived. Like you can follow a diet and be effective, whatever diet they're, whether it is low fat or low carb, or, some people do intermittent fasting, there can be different approaches. And I actually created a podcast episode just talking about it, that there was a study that investigated which approach is better. And it does, all the different diets work fine. The thing is, which is the one that is sustainable and which is the one that you can follow, because you can follow the diet for 3 months, 6 months. Is this something you can do for the rest of your life? So, and that's why I think choosing a way to eat, choosing a plan that you feel, yes, I can be, I can eat Mediterranean healthy, I can eat plant-based diet, I can eat, make those choices, that the way you eat now should be the way you want to eat for the rest of your life, or at least for a few years. I shouldn't say the rest of the life, that's a long time, but I'm saying for a long time, not just,
make sure the habits stick.
Exactly, and make sure the habits stick. And it's a habit, because then it becomes easier. Then it's not a struggle. Then it's just a part of who you are. And, if you told me, like when I was a teenager, that you would exercise, like I was going to exercise 4 or 5 times a week, I would tell you, no way. I'm not an athletic type. I'm too tired. I just wanna be in my, just watch my movies and leave me alone. I would never imagine. And of course, I didn't wake up one day and became from, couch potato to exercising 5 times a week. Now, if you tell, it builds up with habit change a little bit, little by little. And, the recommendation is to have the kids exercise 1 hour per day. But, if you're doing nothing, you don't have to go to 1 hour a day. Just go 15 minutes, just go 5 minutes, whatever you can do, that's fine. It just builds up, and, I encourage the teenagers to just start building up and make it fun. Because if it's not fun and you're only doing it because you have to, or because whoever told you to do it force you to do it, it's not going to work for a long time.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I think it's always important to have fun, to make it something where you enjoy, that you can be able to continue to do. Well, I thank you so very much for spending this time with us and sharing how teenagers can be more healthy. Can you maybe share with us how somebody can work with you if they have a teenager who needs a little bit more assistance?
Yeah, sure. I have created this program. It's called the LIFT program, Lifestyle for Teens program. I'm not sure exactly when my next cohort will begin with, to be honest, but I do have a waiting list, so they can go on my website, which is lifestyleforteens.com, and they can look under work with me. I have information on what this program is going to be about, and I also have some free resources, some free recipes for teenagers that are high in protein. They can all be ready in less than 30 minutes, so they can go and check that out. It's lifestyleforteens.com/recipes. You can get a copy and some other resources that may be helpful for some families.
Oh, well, thank you again. So thank you so much for joining us on the Back on Track Achieving Healthy Weight Loss podcast. If you all like this episode, please share it with others, like it, and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a 5-star review. All right, we'll see you all next time.